the time I spent most time close with Her late Majesty was when I was preaching for her at Sandringham, which is where the Queen and the Duke would spend their Christmas holidays, and they would invite, through January and early February, they would invite various bishops to come and stay for the weekend and preach on the Sunday. So one would turn up on the Saturday afternoon and then have sort of 36 hours, 2 nights, one would stay there. And that was delightful. And the Queen and the Duke both made it so natural and easy to be en famille with them that I had to pinch myself to remind myself, this is actually the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh I'm with, because actually they were a very similar age, slightly younger to my own parents. And the sort of things that they would be doing of a Saturday afternoon, whether watching the news on the television or playing a card game or something, would be really very similar to what I'd be used to in my own home. So it was really rather strange. And then, of course, there were various formalities about how things were done. But the Queen herself was very relaxed and very together, and whether it was welcoming another guest, and there were other house guests as well, or whether it was conversation over dinner, or whether it was taking the corgis out for their last late night outing before bed, there she would be walking along the back corridor and saying goodnight to people and so on, and just very natural and very relaxed. And after the service on the Sunday, we had a delightful and rather quirky conversation, because I had been asked to preach that weekend, and I had checked what the readings were to be for the weekend. And so I had prepared a sermon on the official readings, and the person who stood up to read the second lesson read the wrong lesson. And it was actually a completely irrelevant bit of Mark's Gospel. It should have been Mark 1, 3 to 11, and the person read Mark 4, 3 to 11, which bursts in the middle of the parable of the sower and doesn't make any. And the thing is, nobody seemed to notice except me as the preacher. And I had to, I simply went into the pulpit and said, this is the Sunday when the church thinks about John the Baptist, which is what I prepared to talk about. But I explained to Her Majesty afterwards, and she was really quite intrigued by this little glitch which had happened and which nobody else had noticed. But she was very friendly and clearly a very devout, old-fashioned Church of England Christian.